At the bottom of 20, I'm sorry, 50, did I say 57?
You said
On the
57.
bottom of 57.
Okay, so has that been done, or you want to see what you do?
Mr. Evans is going to do that for us.
Okay.
He's better at the whiteout than I am.
Are they out there, or are they still back out? Satisfactory?
All good?
You bring the jury in?
Yes, you will.
Jury now entering into the court.
Thank you, Doug. Good afternoon, Sergeant Dabney.
Good afternoon.
First, let me just say, I feel for you. I was in that same predicament about 2 years ago. So I hope you feel better soon. So I want to go over some of the things you testified to when you were in direct with the state, okay? A couple of things you talked about is one of the lead detectives on this case was your role anytime you approach a crime scene. All right, I think you testified that you're there to collect facts.
Correct.
Try to preserve evidence.
Correct.
Right. So that you can investigate and find out who done it, essentially. Correct.
Correct.
Agree with me. It's super important when you're going on a crime scene to preserve the crime scene.
Correct.
Right? Because you don't want to corrupt evidence. Is that correct? You also want to exhaust every avenue possible to try to find evidence. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so that's why you said you talked about forensic testing. You collect things in a certain way on a crime scene so that you can then provide that to CSI or the TBI or whoever that could actually test it to see if it can give you more information. Is that fair?
Fair.
Now, a couple of things. I'll start with the initial video. I'm going to try to go in chronological order as to how you hit it earlier on direct. You talked about the handgun and the rifle, style, assault rifle style weapon in the video. And at one point in time, you said that the handgun that was being held by one of the people was consistent with a .40 caliber. It's probably more accurate to say, it's consistent with any pistol. Could have been any caliber pistol, correct?
Correct.
Just by looking.
Just back up.
Right. And when you say consistent with a .40 caliber, you're really basing that off of the shell casings you would have found out in the parking lot. Is that correct?
Showcase and handgun.
Okay. But there was nothing significant, that you can tell from that video that can tell you that's a 40 caliber versus a 9mm versus a 380 or a 45. Okay. Now, you testified that you never recovered the murder weapons, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked a question of, in kind of normal course, if you recover bullets from a scene, right, and or casings from a scene, and you have a weapon you can test it against, that you can take the ballistics and they can run testing to see if it matches. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, even if you don't recover the weapon, is it possible to determine a caliber, what potential caliber a fired bullet would have been? So, you pull a fired bullet from the wall at Makita Cookie or from some other place where those bullets went. Is there a way to test that and go, is this a 40 caliber? Is this a 7.62? Is this a 9? Or
I'm sure it is. That would be the crime scene and collected and whoever they send it off to test it.
okay. And just to be clear, at Makita Cookie, y'all recovered several bullets and bullet fragments from various locations at Makita Cookie. Is that correct?
Correct.
As far as you know, was any testing done of those bullets and or bullet fragments to determine whether they were 40 caliber or 7.62 rounds?
Are you saying the bullets or the casing?
The bullets.
Bullets? No, I'm not.
Okay. And you also received back into evidence from the medical examiner several bullets and bullet fragments. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And to your knowledge, at any point in time, did anyone try to test those? Not to put them to a firearm because you didn't have the particular firearm, but to determine what caliber of bullets were recovered from Mr. Thornton.
Should possibly, yes. The crime scene or whoever took custody of those bullets.
Okay. Or you're saying it's possible, but are you aware of any testing? Okay. Now, I want to switch over to Bradley, right? And you recovered the Mercedes from Bradley. Now, you were asked about video. You had, because you had video from Makita Cookie, correct?
Yes.
And you had video from Crosstown,
Yes.
and you had video from Valero.
Yes.
And I believe Mr. Hagerman asked you, did you canvass the Bradley neighborhood for any video?
Officers we had other investigators that camped in the area.
And you also, I think, testified that you knew that Hernandez Govan lived across the street
Yes.
from Bradley.
Yes.
And you and I think other officers at some point in time interviewed Cornelius Smith. Is that right? Let me ask you this. Did you go to Mr. Govan's house to see about whether he had camera footage?
Other investigators walked up and down. I don't know if they went to his house, but usually they walk down and see if they see any cameras affixed to a house outside the house.
And when you say canvas, they knock too, right?
Yes.
Right? So do you have cameras? And at some point in time, you became aware of Mr. Govan as a potential suspect in the case.
Yes.
Right? So that, as Mr. Hagerman's word, you became very interested in him
Yes.
as time went on. Do you recall there being anyone of the officers in the case, you as one of the lead detectives in the case, reporting to you that there were cameras directly across the street from Bradley, where the white Mercedes would have been, facing the Bradley property, the abandoned house where the Mercedes was? Do you recall Cornelius Smith in any of his interviews with law enforcement that you can recall ever saying that Hernandez Govan had cameras at his house that faced the Bradley house?
I don't recall that.
And lot of investigators in this case, right?
Yes.
Working hard to try to find evidence,
Yes.
correct? I bet you would agree with me if somebody had told you Hernandez Govan has cameras facing where that white car was, you would have been over there, or somebody would have been over there tracking down that lead, right?
No attempt to, yes.
And you're not aware of, at least right now, whether anybody ever even spoke to Mr. Govan specifically and asked him about cameras.
No.
So you said you processed the Mercedes. So there's a, or others, you know it was processed.
Crime scene investigation.
And there's a level of processing that occurs while the car's still on Bradley. Is that correct? Or do y'all just hook it up and tow it?
Hook up into it.
Okay.
Process it at another location.
Okay. Now, when you saw the vehicle on Bradley, do you remember there being any bullet holes in the car?
I think it were. I'm not sure. May have been window broken out or something to that effect.
Okay. And to be clear, the window that was broken out, and I can pass you the exhibits, some of these exhibits that were previously marked. One is Exhibit 53, Exhibit 49, and Exhibit 43 of the white Mercedes. They'll kind of give you something to look at, refresh your recollection. In those photographs, does it appear that the passenger side window is not there?
Yes.
All right. Was there broken glass anywhere around the car or in the car that you recall?
I do recall.
Okay. Now, and I've got one other image here. It's exhibit number 10. It's also of the white Mercedes. Was there any places on that Mercedes that you can remember seeing on the exterior of the car?
Not from the picture.
Now, some of those photographs where the vehicle is being processed, the outside of the car has like black powder all over it.
Yes.
Is that done for fingerprint purposes?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you've already testified to this, but there were several prints recovered from the vehicle. Is that right?
That's correct.
Mr. Smith, Cornelius Smith,
Correct.
Trayon Ingram,
Yes.
and Kristen Gardner.
Yes.
Mr. Justin Johnson's fingerprints were not recovered from that vehicle, correct? Now, you also were asked about DNA, and I can retrieve those from you if you'd like. You were also asked about DNA, and I believe the question was, there was no DNA evidence or evidence of blood in the car. Okay. Now, to be clear, there was actually DNA testing done, touch DNA testing done on at least 8 places inside the car, right? And they did swabs. Is that correct? And that's where tech goes in and they're swiping different parts of the vehicle to see if there's any DNA that can be detected.
Yes.
Are you aware of what the technician looks for when they decide like what areas they're going to swab for DNA?
No, I'm not.
Okay. But as far as you know, were there any reports generated about whether DNA existed?
Or reports that they didn't have a match to anything that was submitted.
All right, so your recollection is that there are reports, or was a report, that there was not a DNA match to the touch DNA, but there was DNA recovered.
Yes, I guess so.
Okay, and I'm asking you. I'm not telling you. I'm asking you what you recall. Now, when you get DNA results, do they typically, from TBI, when you send them to TBI, they typically come back on kind of a letterhead from TBI. Is that correct? And let you know. All right. And in fact, one of the items that was recovered from the Mercedes was a chapstick. You recall that?
Yes,
And
some things recovered inside the
and in fact, that chapstick was sent along with the touch DNA swabs let me stop. The chapstick was sent to the TBI for testing, and came back with a major DNA profile of a male, but couldn't be excluded down to anything beyond a male. You recall that? No. Okay. If I were to show you the report, would it refresh your recollection? Now, do you have any specific knowledge of the touch DNA swabs being sent to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation? All right, so you can't say whether those were actually ever sent, right? Because if they had been sent, the report that I just showed you, you would have had something back from them saying either there's no identifiable DNA or there was, and then they would analyze it further, correct?
Correct.
If that wasn't sent, if the touch DNA samples weren't sent for further testing, you would agree with me that would be a problem for your investigation.
Could be.
Right. Because touch DNA, if they recovered something, that could point you directly to a person, right? With scientific fact, right? Going, this is the person that touched that part of the car.
Yes.
And you don't know until you try, right? So you don't know unless you test it. Okay. Right. And if you didn't test it, that's an avenue of investigation for establishing facts and evidence that was left unattended. Fair?
Fair.
Now, you told Mr. Hagerman, and we talked about this, you said, and no evidence of blood in the car. Now, somebody who works in the department with you, Sergeant Coburn, he did a lot of the processing of this vehicle,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, all the process.
And at some point, he even used something called Blue Star. You know what Blue Star is?
Yes.
What's Blue Star?
It's an agent that they use to spray for location of blood inside on things.
Right. And you would agree with me that Blue Star is something they can, if they spray it and they put a light on it, and it'll light up if there's blood or biological material that has been there, correct?
Correct. My knowledge is.
And they can even use Blue Star on places where people think they have wiped down or cleaned, and it will still show. Right? That's that horrible thing they do in the hotel rooms, right? Where they spray do that and freak everybody out. Yeah. So now, Sergeant Coburn used Blue Star inside the Mercedes, and if you recall, inside of the driver's door, above the armrest, the Blue Star reacted with a very bright chemiluminescence, I think is the way he says it here, which is a hard word to say. And he took swabs of that as well, right? So from what you know of Blue Star, is Blue Star something that if you shine it and it lights up, that's typically an indication of blood or some biological material that's been in that area.
That's what I've been told.
Right.
Not an expert.
Sure. And Sergeant Coburn, obviously, who processes for these things, if he swabbed it twice, it definitely showed it to be of some evidentiary importance to him to determine, is this biological or not? Would you agree with that?
I would.
And as you sit here today, are you aware of the results of any testing that came back on the swabs for the Blue Star?
I don't remember the results.
Okay. Like we talked about earlier, if you had tested that and it had come back, it could have potentially had DNA evidence on it, right?
I'm assuming yes.
And that would have been very important as one of those evidentiary facts that you would have used in your investigation. Right. And if you didn't have that and it existed, it put you at a disadvantage of knowing all of the evidence and all the facts, correct? So let's go to the Valero video. So the Valero video, you see several different vehicles arrive at Valero. Person I think you identified as Kristen Gardner is pumping gas from the white Mercedes.
Correct.
Right? And then he drives that white Mercedes off up to the top of the screen. And then I think you said you see somebody, you can't tell who it is, but you see an individual get out of another vehicle, Kristen Gardner get out of the white Mercedes, and someone gets inside the white Mercedes. Correct. That you said was not wearing the same clothes that Kristen Gardner was wearing just moments earlier. Correct. Or maybe even seconds earlier. Very quick. Right. But right after that exchange is made, doesn't another car pull up in front of the white Mercedes and sit for some period of time? It does. Right? And to be fair, you would agree with me, you can't see what's going on with the white Mercedes, who's in the white Mercedes, whether someone got out of and back into the white Mercedes, correct? Correct. And that's definitely something that could have happened. We don't know, because you couldn't see. So then we get to Crosstown. And so those Crosstown videos, I believe you made the statement that you would see Mr. Johnson arriving in the Mercedes in Crosstown.
Someone. Yes.
Or someone wearing, well, let me ask you this, and you make my point, right? So you don't know who was in the Mercedes, right? Because in fairness, the video you saw and that the jury saw is the video. Like, you can't see who's driving the Mercedes, right? And then you see the Mercedes enter, and there are times when you'll see the person in the gray sweatpants, black shoes, black hoodie, walking through the parking garage, right? And you don't see the car that person gets in of or out of, right? Now, so Crosstown's a big place, correct?
It is.
A lot of cars.
Lots.
A lot of cars going in and out. And you would agree with me that the videos that were shown are confined to intentionally, right, to focus on when the white Mercedes comes in and out, when the Expedition goes in and out. Right? But there are other cars going in and out through those periods of time.
Yes.
And you would agree with me that during those periods of time where the white Mercedes, it shows the white Mercedes in the video come in, you can't see the driver, you can't see the person in the gray sweatpants and the black hoodie, what they get in and out of. You can't say that person was ever in that white Mercedes, correct?
No, you can't. It's just the area that the Mercedes parked at is the same area where that person came from.
Well, but can you even see in the video that was shown where the Mercedes parks?
Just the general area.
Which is the parking garage, which is around hundreds and potentially more other vehicles, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, there is a point in time in your testimony when we start looking at the videos inside Crosstown, specifically inside the elevator, where you specifically identify that person to be Mr. Johnson based on the tattoo, I think. Other characteristics too, but you mentioned a tattoo.
Yes.
And in those videos, some of those correspond with times at which you showed the white Mercedes roll in, and then the person in the gray sweatpants, black hoodie walk in, right? One of those times having a little girl in tow. Now, you would agree with me that during those times, when you see Mr. Johnson, the one you've identified as Mr. Johnson with the little girl in the elevator, and other times, he's not wearing gloves.
No.
Right. And has a little girl with him that obviously if what the state says is correct and he was in the Mercedes, would have also been in that Mercedes, correct?
Yes.
Today, you testified about going back to the Makita video, and specifically, you mentioned that when the video was playing, and then there were some still shots put in. You mentioned something about underwear you thought that matched between the video that was taken at Tulane Apartments and that the person that's portrayed in that video and the person portrayed in the Makita video.
Correct.
Specifically the gray sweatpants, black hoodie, right?
Yes.
Now, there was a timeline that you also said you recognized of the Tulane apartment video. You recall seeing that?
Yes.
Had various pictures, and it even had like notable things from each picture, right? Would you agree with me that nowhere in that timeline is it noted that these underwear are the same color as the underwear in the Makita Coca video? Is there a reason for that? Why that wouldn't be in there? Seems like
Just something that I mentally put in my head when I saw the video there, and I saw the video there. Okay. Same clothing, just like the clothing they had on,
And this, what was marked as I mean, and again, you saw this, you're pulling that from the same video that the jury saw in evidence, correct?
Yes, correct.
And the still shots, which were marked as front and back. Oh, okay. Thank you. Exhibit 58, it's a collective. And these pictures, these still shots, being, slowed down, I'm gonna hand you collective 58. And I just want to be sure that your perspective that you think you say those are blue, number one, and that you think those are, similar to the ones in the Tulane video is based off exactly what the jury is seeing. It's based off the video that we saw today and those still images. Okay. And in fact, you're saying did you base it off seeing still images before, or is those still images something you just saw for the first time today after you kind of put that together in your head?
No, some myself.
You'd seen them, investigating the case.
Yes.
Okay. But again, you're saying based on same.
Yes.
And it's your testimony that those are the same color as the Tulane video?
What I visualized and what I saw.
But you saw. Okay. All right. Thank you. One moment, Your Honor. You were asked about how long it would take to get from Crosstown to Makita Cookie. I think you said 10, 15 minutes. And obviously, possible. And that's something too that, depending on time of day, traffic and everything else, could be longer. It could be closer to 10 or around, could be 20, correct, thereabouts. How far away from Makita Cookie is the Bradley Street address where the car was recovered from?
I would say about 2 miles. Give or take.
When you were investigating this case, did you become familiar with an address on Wild Rose Drive? Would have been
Yes.
Cornelius Smith's
Yes.
father's residence?
Correct.
How far would you say that was from Makita Cookie?
Maybe 5-minute drive. Maybe not. Probably not that much. So.
Got a little, maybe even a little less.
Correct.
Okay. And during your investigation, did you also learn information? Oh, strike that. Did you ever come across any information about where Mr. Johnson's, the mother of Mr. Johnson's daughter lived?
Yeah, we got an address, possible location.
Do you recall that address off the top of your head?
No,
Did you ever do any kind of, did you drive there ever?
we drove to an apartment. She's supposed to be living.
Okay. How far would you say that apartment was from Makita Cookie?
It's a good distance. It's out in the Whitehaven area, probably closer to the 2 lane.
Close to the 2 lane. And how far away is 2 lane from Makita?
Heading on traffic, interstate through the city, probably about 20 minutes.
Okay. And so, Mr. Johnson's the mother of his daughter, the one in the video, and presumably in the video in the elevator, was 20 minutes from Makita Cookie. How, and if you don't know the answer to this, but how far would you say that would be from Crosstown, to get from Crosstown to that apartment address out at Whitehaven?
Maybe 15, 20 minutes from this.
Okay. 1 moment. That's my questions. Thank you, sir.
Okay, right.
Yeah, just super quick, and something I probably should have explained at the start, some of Mr. Evans' questions. You're retired now, is that correct?
That's correct.
And this investigation went on after you retired, is that correct?
Correct.
And so this case sort of has 2 case officers.
It does.
You for the original,
Yes.
and then Jesse Browning after that.
That's correct.
So there's some things that happened in this investigation, maybe even testing in this investigation or whatever decisions that were made would be after you were off the case.
Correct.
All right, and retired.
Yes.
The second thing, are you aware that Blue Star, what Mr. Evans is talking about, also reacts with bleach and cleaning products?
I'm not aware.
Okay, you have not been trained on that substance or anything at all?
I have not.
That's all my questions for Mr. Evans.
Any recalls?
No.
Thank you, officer.
Thank
Call your next witness.
Kiston Gardner, who's in custody. I'm sorry. You hold 1 minute, wait, real quick. Sorry. Gardner in custody.
step up here, sir? Face the judge, raise your right hand, sir.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a seat. You may take your mask.
Mr. Garner, you don't want to be here, do you?
No, sir.
All right, but go ahead and tell me your name.
Mr. Garner,
Spell that first name for me.
Khistan,
Spell the last name.
Garner, Garner.
And how old are you?
21.
We'll take you back to 2021, November the 17th. Is the early morning hours of November the 17th, just after 2 o'clock, going on to 3 o'clock a.m., okay? Did you have occasion to go up to the Valero station near the University of Memphis?
Yes, sir.
Where had you been before you got to the Valero station?
I can't tell.
Okay. Was it a neighborhood house?
Yes, sir.
Were you up there with other people?
Yes, sir.
Were you up there with an individual by the name of Treon Ingram?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Treon Ingram?
Yes, sir.
Was he somebody you hung out with?
Yes, sir.
Did you see an individual up at that neighborhood house who you know is straight drop or drop?
I can't tell. I
Okay.
just know when we came to the house, that's who Treon said there was.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustain.
You came to the neighborhood house, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you saw an individual there. My approach, but we approached with regard to the objection. Okay, and were y'all in a vehicle?
Yes, sir.
What kind of vehicle were y'all in?
Mercedes Benz.
Okay, and let me show you a picture. I think you've seen this before. What's that picture of?
Mercedes Benz Limousine.
All right, is that the picture that we're going to be talking about?
Yes, sir.
Is that the car we're going to be talking about?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, was that car a stolen car?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know where that car came from?
No, sir.
All right. Are there other people at this neighborhood house?
Yes, sir.
Who are the other people at this neighborhood house?
Straight drop.
Straight drop?
Yes, sir.
What'd y'all do at this neighborhood house?
Nothing really.
Okay, were y'all hanging out?
No, sir.
Did Straight Drop come in a car, a different car?
Yeah, truck.
A truck? Let me show you this picture that you've seen before.
Yes, sir.
Is that the truck Straight Drop came in?
Yes, sir.
Is that a white Ford Expedition?
Yes, sir.
There come a point when y'all left the house?
Yes, sir.
When y'all left the house, who was driving the white Mercedes?
I was.
When y'all left the house, did the Infiniti leave the house too?
Yes, sir.
Who was driving the Infiniti?
Ryan.
Did he have a passenger with him in the Infiniti?
Yeah, straight truck.
Straight drop? When y'all got to the gas station, what happened?
We got some gas. They talked for a minute, then we pulled off. They pulled back around, and straight truck got in the Benz. And I got in the Infiniti.
Straight drop got in the white Benz,
Yes, sir.
and did you leave in the Infiniti?
Yes, sir.
got a picture from the gas station. See if you recognize this picture.
Yes, sir.
Who's in that picture?
Yeah, that's me.
All right. Is that you next to the white Mercedes at the gas station that night?
Yeah.
And then let me get you a final picture. Is this another picture you've seen before?
Yes, sir.
What's that a picture of?
And that
The Benz you gave her.
straight truck.
Okay. Did you know what Straight Drop was gonna do in that Benz?
No, sir.
Did you have any idea at all?
No, sir.
Were you part of this conspiracy at all?
No, sir.
Had you ever talked with anybody about killing Dolph or these other PRE artists?
I want to do that.
Why wouldn't you do that?
I want to do that one. That's my family.
You say that's your family, what you mean?
This party. That's my family. I want to do that.
Yeah, when you say it's not your family, though, what do you mean? You talking about family, who you talking about?
Young Dolph.
Young Dolph?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you did not see Young Dolph as some sort of rival or anything like that?
No, sir.
You wouldn't have been involved in anything like that?
No, sir.
I'd like to introduce those exhibits into evidence at this time, Your Honor.
I need to give them a quick look.
Okay.
My approach.
Right.
Objection.
These are actually in order as Mr. Gardner identified them, Your Honor. My approach to you.
The first picture is a picture of a white Mercedes with the back end damage. The picture has Kirsten Garner's name on the bottom, labeled 11/29/21 at 4:01 p.m. It also has written on it in red, the bins we gave drop at Valero. We'll mark this as exhibit number 60. The next picture is a frontal view of a white Expedition. Written on the bottom, the truck hopped out of before Trayon gave him the bins. At the house, police found bins. Kirsten Garner's name, November 29, 2021, at 3:24 p.m. Label this is exhibit number 61. The next picture is a picture of the white bins at the gas pump. Somebody standing next to the gas pump. The statement under the picture is, "This is me pumping the gas. Drove to store following Trayon KT." The initials under the bottom, Trayon and KT. Christian Garner at the bottom, November 29, 2021, 3:27 p.m. We'll mark that as exhibit number 62. And the last picture is a side view of the Mercedes-Benz. This view is from the passengers, this is the view of the driver's side. The written caption under the bottom says, "This is the Benz we gave drop." Christian Garner, November 29, 2021. We'll mark this as exhibit number 63.
60. The bins we get dropped, that Bolero, 1129. '61, the truck hopped out of before Treon gave him the bins at the house where police found the bins. This is me pumping, next exhibit, this is me pumping the gas, drove to store following Trio. This is the bins we get dropped. Next on the exhibit. That's all the questions, Judge.
Mr.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Mr. Garner.
No,
All right. My name's Luke Evans. I represent Justin Johnson. I've got a few questions for you, okay?
yes, no.
All right. So I'm not going to ask you what Treon said, but when you were first asked whether or not you knew whether or not you knew who Treon traded the Mercedes-Benz for, you didn't say Justin Johnson or straight drop.
Yes, sir. It was straight drop Gabby.
Okay. And you started to answer by saying, Treon told me.
Yeah, when we was at the house. When we went to the store, I seen him. I was in the car with him. I seen him at the store.
So you didn't see him at the house?
No, Treon just told us that's who this was when he got in the Infinity with Treon.
Okay. So you're saying that Treon, you were there, though, no question.
No question.
So how many times have you been interviewed by law enforcement before today?
Too many times.
2 minutes. In relation to this investigation, if that narrows it down any for you, is it still too many times? Or are you just saying one time's too many?
One time, too many.
Sure. Fair enough. So you've at least been interviewed twice, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you even got spoken to right before you came on the stand. Out of state, correct? And the first time you talked to law enforcement was on November 23rd, 2021 about this. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you told this jury today you had no idea that Mercedes-Benz was stolen.
No, sir.
Now that just isn't true. And you know it's not true, right?
I wouldn't been in it if it was stolen.
Okay. What's Treon do for a living?
I can't tell you
I mean, Did he have a job that you knew of where he could afford a Benz?
Yes, sir.
He did. What'd he do?
Work at a garbage truck place.
Okay. What? I mean, you weren't with Trayon when he carjacked it a couple of weeks before. I mean, you and him are tight, right?
Yes, sir. If I would have been there, I would have said, no, I wasn't.
You weren't there?
No, sir.
And you just, I mean, how long you known Trayon?
My whole life.
You've known him your whole life.
Yes, sir.
He works at a garbage company,
Yes, sir.
right? He's driving a Benz. How long had he had the Benz?
I can't tell you.
I mean, you hung out with him almost every day, didn't you?
No, sir. You only kind of pick me up when I need a ride.
Did you need a ride the night you say you went over and traded the Benz?
Yes, sir.
Where were you going?
Off Redwood in a mile.
And Trayon was just taking you.
Yes, sir.
Well, what did you think when he was going to trade his nice bought and paid for Mercedes Benz for an Infiniti Q40?
This is business. That's what I thought.
Let me ask you this, Piston. For Trayon and you riding around in this Benz that you thought he bought and paid for, didn't carjack to get it. What did you think when he was riding around with two pistols and a Draco in the back?
Texas is Memphis.
Because that's what he had, right? A Draco style assault rifle.
I can't tell. I just know he had some type of weapon.
Well, you called it a Draco when you interviewed with law enforcement,
Yeah, it should be.
right? So that's what it was. And some pistols, right?
It was a lot more than there. Plenty guns in the car.
And that's what you and Trayon were riding around with.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. At least November 16th, 2021, were you a felon?
No, sir.
What about Trayon?
I can't tell.
You don't know?
No, sir.
Well, when you get to Bradley that night, why do you have to go drive the Mercedes?
There were three on told me to do pump gas and drive it around. And I didn't even know we was going to give it to the truck. I just know when we came around, when I got done pumping gas, we all pulled off, came back around through the store again, and we gave it to him. I didn't know why, I didn't know what he did it for, I just know he gave it to him.
And the only time you've been in the car was that night? That Mercedes?
No, sir.
You've been in it before? How many times?
Twice, 3 times. Just wanted to get the ride when I called Tree.
What about, did you ever have to get anything out of the trunk for him? Or did you just get in the front seats and, into the passenger seat, in and out?
Yeah, my wallet.
You had to get your wallet out of the trunk?
Yeah, no, it wasn't in the trunk. It was in the car.
Okay. What about the trunk? Did you ever go in the trunk?
No, sir.
Never went in the trunk?
No, sir.
Never touched the trunk?
No, sir.
Do you know, you knew there was tags from multiple states in that trunk of that car, though, right?
No, sir.
You got any change of tags that night?
No, sir. I
Okay.
have no idea what the tag was trying to do. I didn't even know nothing about it. One thing I did was get in the car and go places that I wanted him to take me.
You said you thought Trayon had bought that Mercedes, right?
I didn't say that. I just said I didn't know where he got it from.
I think earlier you said you thought he bought it. He had a job.
Yeah, I just said he had a job. I didn't say he bought it.
Okay.
I said I didn't know where he got it from.
Because you knew him to steal cars too, didn't you?
No,
You didn't tell police that you knew Trayon took a stolen Infiniti and a Challenger?
No, sir. One time Ken says I told him we had an Infinity. We didn't have no Challenger. I don't know nothing about no Challenger. But
Okay.
where did he come
So if the police have a report from your interview that says that, they just got it wrong.
in? Yeah, it seems like
Okay. Now, when you first got interviewed by the cops in this case, you told them you'd never been in that Mercedes, right?
one time I told him I'd never been in the Mercedes when Dolph died. I didn't have no idea what happened. I told him I was in the Mercedes, but just wanted to get a ride. That's all I told him.
All right. You didn't tell them. What about Valero? They asked you if you'd ever been to Valero.
And they showed me the pictures of me at Valero. That's when I told them this were when the day we gave it a drop.
But before they showed you that picture, you said you had never been at the gas station, Valero gas station in Highland.
I didn't even want to tell them nothing really, because I didn't have no dealing with it.
You even were shown a picture of yourself pumping gas and said you didn't know who that person was, right?
Yes, sir.
You were asked earlier if you knew, you say that it's Justin Johnson got that Mercedes. You said, did you ever know why Justin Johnson was getting the Mercedes or Straight Drop was getting? You said no, right?
Yes, sir.
But that's not what you told the police when you were interviewed again on November 29th, 2001. Right.
Interrogated me.
And during your questioning, interrogation, whatever you want to call it, you told them that Drop said he needed the Mercedes-Benz to slide up on his baby mama.
That's what the comment was when he got it for sure.
All right. So earlier you said you were asked directly, did he ever tell you why he needed it, why he wanted it, what he was going to do with it?
That was the comment he made.
Okay. So he, according to you, he did tell you.
He didn't tell me that just the comment that was made. I wasn't in none of their business. I don't know now one of them, so I wasn't in their business. I was just sitting in the car doing what I was doing.
And this person you're saying Straight Drop during this interaction, what did you see him do at Valero?
Get in the car. When we got there, we got some gas. After we got some gas, we were trailed in the Audi and the Infinity and the Benz. We got done getting some gas, we rolled out, we came back through the store lot at the air pump, and that's when we traded cars.
Now, after you heard Dolph got killed, you called Trayon, right?
No, sir.
You didn't?
I was with Tree on the day Dolph got killed. He dropped me off, and we asked him, did he have anything to do with Dolph being dead? Because if he did, we're not going to be around him. That's something.
Well, you told detectives that you had a conversation with Trayon after the homicide and stated that you called him.
No, sir.
That's not true?
I was with him on the day of. He dropped me off in Raleigh and then Infinity.
All right. And you told Trayon, according to what you told them at the time, that people were trying to put your name in as one of the shooters in Dolph's murder.
Yeah, that was for sure.
When was this conversation?
day after. The
Day after?
Me recognizing that Dolph was dead, and the day after that, we recognized that the car we were just in that had something to do with Dolph.
And you already knew the day after he's killed, that people are putting your name in it.
It's my family. Like, they know what car we were just in. Like,
Who's your family? When you say your family, then
Dolph people, like Dolph, like they're my family.
can you explain that to me a little bit more? Are they your blood relatives?
Yes, sir.
How are y'all related?
Cousins.
Okay. And you're saying the family would have known that you were driving around in that white Mercedes?
Yes, sir.
How would they have known that?
We was calling them, letting them know when we got the van.
You called Dolph's family.
No, we called people that were related.
Who'd you call?
I can't tell.
What do you mean you can't tell? You don't know?
They're not in this.
Who'd you call?
Can't tell. Treon did all the calling.
I thought you just said you called them. They're your family.
They is. Treon did all the calling.
But why is he calling Dolph's family?
Trying to get the car going.
Why would Dolph's family know how to get the car going?
It ain't just Dolph family. There was plenty of people that we were trying to get the car to.
Well, you just said it was Dolph's family. Who you were calling. That's who we're talking about, Mr. Garner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you stole a car, and back again. You said earlier you didn't even know that the car was stolen.
Why you keep saying I stole the car?
Why are you trying to get the car going if you didn't steal it?
I didn't steal it, but Treon was trying to get the car going.
So Treon stole it.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Why is he trying to get rid of the car? If he bought it.
I can't tell you, and I didn't say he bought it. I didn't know where he got it from.
So you're in a car, however Treon got it. That you're calling, you say, Dolph's family before he's killed to try to get rid of the car for whatever reason.
It was way before Dolph was even in the thing dealing with Dolph. Like, we've been trying to get the car down. Like, it was way before that. It didn't have nothing to do the day of, the day after, the day before, none of it. It was way before when he picked me up. The first time he picked me up, he was trying to get the car down. I didn't get in his business. It's not my business. I'm just getting in here to get a ride.
What's way before? Let's start there. It was way before Dolph was killed.
Yeah.
How far before?
About a week or so.
All right, and you're saying that's way before.
Yes.
But Treon, according to you, is calling Dolph's family. And Treon's not related to Dolph too, is he?
It just knocked off. You gotta realize everybody grew up with each other. So everybody know everybody. It's Memphis. Everybody know everybody.
Well, sorry, I'll let you finish.
He got done calling them. They didn't want to get it. They didn't have nothing to do with it. So I guess he did what he did. Gave it a drop. I don't know. I can't tell you why he gave it, where he did it from.
But you're concerned immediately when Dolph ends up murdered because you know that you or Treon, one of the two of you, has reached out to Dolph's family and tried to unload a white Mercedes, right? Which is in the video, driving away.
It's my fault, but why you keep saying it was just Dolph's family? Like I told you, it was multiple people he was trying to sell the car to.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
That's what you said. You won't tell us who it was. I've asked you that too.
I wouldn't do that. They have nothing to do with me.
You said
talking about me giving the car to Trump. I ain't have nothing to do with us.
Unfortunately, you don't get to pick and choose, Mr. Garner, on what you answer and what you don't. The judge gets to decide that, not you.
Yes, sir.
And you're concerned, and the day after, because maybe not the only people, but you've interacted, as you said, a lot of people, some of which were your family, which you've identified as Dolph's family, with that car, and your name is in it, right? Same car that's got, as luck would have it, a Draco in it and two pistols. At least, you said a bunch, but at least two pistols, right?
There's a lot of weapons.
And you're immediately concerned, right? Because you think, oh no.
Now, when Dolph died, and I seen them Mercedes on the news, of course, man, who not finna call them if I'm in this car and they just did shit like, I ain't finna act like I didn't out here. Yeah, I called you.
Well, you
Yeah,
call,
I was like, yeah, like, what's going on? Like, and me not knowing about it, like, why I'm in this car, like, y'all put me in something that I don't even supposed to be in, really.
and this was the day after.
Yes.
This is before you ever even come on the scene. Like you're not picked up by law enforcement yet. You're not talking to the cops. That doesn't happen to
This
me.
came, man, right after Dolph died, like, it came a couple of days after, like, so it was none of it. I already knew that I was gonna get picked up regardless. As soon as I said that I got picked up for nothing.
And started lying right then. Right? Trying to hide.
It's Dolph, like, I wouldn't want to be in it, like, knowing I ain't got nothing to do with it. It wasn't no lie, it was for real, like, I ain't have nothing to do with it, it ain't no lie. I don't, so why would I go tell them something that I don't have nothing to do with? I don't have nothing to do with it.
Smart, we learned today. You've had quite a bit to do.
How it take?
That's all the questions I've got.
Alright,
Redirect.
I've got no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ross.
Hold on.
Are you next witness?
Wait 1 second, I already have stipulation that we'd like to go ahead and read to the record. We're going to get the stipulation read to the record, Your Honor, and then you can get Sure.
Mr. Hagerman, you wanna remind the camera guys of this?
They asked if you remind the still shot cameras. Cameraman knows.
You got it?
They're not-
Yeah, you're right.
Jury's now in into the courtroom, Your Honor.
All right. State, call your next witness.
Jamarcus Johnson.
Step this way, sir. Stand right here. Raise your right hand facing Young.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth? Have a seat.
Make sure your phone is off.
All right, can you tell me your name, please?
Jamarcus Johnson.
All right, I'm gonna have you look out toward me and speak up so I can hear you, okay?
Jamarcus Johnson.
And, can you spell the first and last name for the record?
JERMARCUS.
And then Johnson.
JOHNSON.
We just have to do that for the court reporter, it's a legal thing. Now, Mr. Johnson, you, are actually charged in this case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You are charged with taking possession of some of your brother's property after the Dolph killing, and for aiding him to communicate with another man by the name of Cornelius Smith after the Dolph killing. Okay? You have an attorney for that case, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he's actually in the courtroom today.
Yes, sir.
You have pled guilty to being an accessory after the fact, several counts of that offense for taking control over a car your brother was driving afterwards, for taking control over a phone that your brother had afterwards, and for helping him by using the phone communicate with Cornelius Smith. Is that right? And you've entered a guilty plea to those offenses, but you have not been sentenced yet. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Meaning that a judge has not had a hearing and told you what your sentence is going to be. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Have I told you that it's a very good idea for you to tell the truth, and that the truth could help you at whatever sentencing you have one day?
Yes, sir.
Now, this building and this system is new to you, isn't it? Had you ever,
Hold on. I need you to say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
She's recording.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Had you ever been arrested before this case?
No, sir.
Ever been to 201 pilot for court cases and stuff like this before this case? This was the first time,
Yes, sir.
and it's the only time.
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you about your brother, Justin Johnson, okay? Do you have him in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Can you point him out and tell me what he's wearing?
Wearing a gray sweater.
Okay, is he seated here behind these two attorneys?
Mm-hmm.
Could the record reflect he's identified as brother Justin Johnson?
Record so reflects he's identified the defendant in court today.
Now, how old are you, Jamarcus?
27.
And how old is your brother?
I think 25.
25? Okay. Is he your full brother?
We got the same dad, different mom.
Same dad, different mother, so half brother or whatever. As y'all grew up, did y'all actually grow up together in the same house every day?
No, sir.
You described sort of how often you would see your brother Justin. I liken it to something like me and my cousins or something.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
Yes, sir.
So you grew up in a different household than your brother.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But you would see your brother from time to time? Is that,
Yes, sir.
would you see him at family stuff? Or
Younger, yeah.
when you were younger? Okay. Like cousins or something?
Mhm.
Okay. I want to take you back to 2021, okay? November of 2021. Now, did you even know who Dolph was?
A rapper, yeah.
A rapper, okay. So you knew Dolph was a rapper,
Yes, sir.
okay. Did you have anything to do with some sort of plan on the front end to kill Dolph?
No, sir.
Is that anything that you would ever be involved in?
No, sir.
Any sort of plan to kill other PRE? Do you know what PRE is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any plan to kill the other PRE artists or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. In 2021, about how often would you talk or communicate with your brother Justin?
Like every other week.
Like every other week?
Yes, sir.
In 2021, about how many times do you think you saw him that whole year?
Like 2 or 3 times.
Okay. So in all of 2021, you would have seen him 2 or 3 times.
Yes, sir.
Does that sound about right? And you would have talked to him maybe once a week or every 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And again, just because a court reporter, like when you nod your head, I know I know it, but we got a court reporter, okay? All right. So it'd be fair to say that y'all were not close.
Yeah. Nah, we were close, but we didn't talk all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, there's stuff going on. I got my story.
Okay. Were his friends your friends?
No, sir.
Okay. So did you know the people he hung out with?
No, sir.
Did you know, for instance, Treon Ingram?
No, sir.
That name mean anything at all to you?
No, sir.
Where were you living in 2021?
I was 21
When this happened?
when the murder happened.
When this time period that we're talking about, when Dolph got murdered, and when we're here later that Justin gives you this time?
Oh, Auburn apartments,
The Harbor Sport. Now, what area of Memphis?
East Memphis.
All right, so you were living in East Memphis.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And for people that are not from here, there's downtown.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
There's Midtown that is next to downtown that includes Crosstown.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's South Memphis, there's North Memphis,
Yes, sir.
and then there's East Memphis.
Yes, sir.
And you were living out in East
Yes,
Memphis.
sir.
Who are you living with?
I live with my mom and 2 sisters.
Okay. And
my
did you
son. Yeah.
you have a son? Is that correct? And you have custody of your son.
Full custody.
How old's your son now?
4.
And were you working back in 2021?
Yes, sir.
Where were you working?
I was working at Disney warehouse.
Okay, at the Disney warehouse. All right. Trying to support your son
Yes, sir.
and living in those apartments with your mom and your sisters.
Yes, sir.
Did there come a time after Dolph was killed that your brother Justin got in contact with you?
Yes, sir.
What was it about?
About bringing me a rental car.
About bringing you a rental car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, had you asked him for a car or anything?
No.
Okay, so this is, do you know what out of the blue means? Would this be something sort of out of the blue?
No, he knew I didn't have a car.
Okay, your brother would have known you didn't have a car.
Yeah, he knew I didn't have a car.
And was not having a car hard for you?
Yes, sir.
Who had to drive you to the warehouse?
I had to get rides from different people.
You had to get rides. Okay. So your brother, is this after Dolph was killed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Calls you about giving you a car.
Yes, sir.
Does this sound good to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. What happens after the phone call?
I was getting out from work. On the way home, he was like, he's gonna come and bring me the car so I can get back and forth from work. Cause I be needing the car. So
Okay.
Mhm.
And did he in fact do that?
yes, sir.
Where did he,
Came like an hour later to the office.
like an hour later? At your apartment complex? Okay. What kind of car did he arrive in?
It was a white Chrysler.
You know what a Chrysler 200 or 300 looks like?
I think it was a 300.
Okay. Oh, they look similar, 200, 300, right? I was just asking, does it look like one of those things?
Yes, sir.
Is he driving that car?
Yes, sir.
Does he have anybody with him?
It was some people in the truck.
What kind of truck is it?
I really don't know.
What color was the truck?
It was white.
A white truck? You say truck, you mean like a pickup truck, or do you mean like a big SUV?
It was a big SUV.
Big SUV? Okay. Do you know who the people were in the white SUV with him were?
No, sir.
Okay, what happens when he gets there?
Tell me you outside.
Okay.
Okay. Go outside, get in the car.
You get in the car with him?
He was quiet. He had 2 phones.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess he was just putting numbers in the phones and stuff.
He was in what?
He was like switching the numbers, putting numbers in the phone, another phone.
Okay, so he has 2 phones in front of you, and it looks like he's taking numbers from one and putting it in the other?
Yeah.
Okay, now had y'all talked about a phone or anything before?
No.
All right, he was ringing your car,
Mhm.
you're in the car, he's got 2 phones. Before this conversation about bringing you a car and stuff, when was the last time you had talked to him?
Probably like 2 or 3 weeks before that.
Okay. All right, so you meet him in the car, he's got the 2 phones and he's going back and forth with the numbers. Are you asking what he's doing or what's going on?
He was just quiet.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what are you doing?
I was on my phone.
Okay. So you're sitting there next to him, you're on your phone, he's doing his number stuff. What happens?
He told me he was gonna give me the phone. It was like social media stuff.
Like that he's gonna give you one of his 2 phones. Okay. And you said for social media stuff?
Yeah, posting pictures and checking your email and stuff.
Does your brother have social media?
Got Instagram, yeah.
Okay. In fact, you know your brother, does he go by other names too?
Other than his real name,
Uh-huh.
Straight Drop.
Okay. Straight drop and sometimes just drop.
Yeah, this is real name.
Okay. And when you say give it to you for his social media, what do you mean by that?
like, I don't know, I guess he was just busy. He just needed me to keep up with like the people that was emailing him, like
Okay,
these
so,
producers, stuff like that.
all right, so let me back up. He gives you his phone. Because it's the idea that people may be calling or texting or messaging him.
You can say that, but it was just mainly he just told me that he needed me like to post some stuff.
Okay, so he told you at the time that he needed you to use his phone to maybe post some stuff to his social media. Is that
Like videos, all this stuff.
okay? Did you ask him why he couldn't do this himself with his phone?
No.
Okay, but he has this phone in his hand. And he's going to give it to you, and you already have a phone. You don't need a phone.
No, I don't.
The car sounds good. And he wants you to have his phone and maybe post stuff to social media.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You don't ask him why. Does he provide any explanation?
Other than just for the social media stuff.
Okay. He doesn't say why he needs you to do this rather than him.
No, sir.
Does he tell you that he's getting out of town?
No, sir.
Does he tell you that he's got to lay low?
No, sir.
What happens after he gives you the phone?
Somebody was calling him and stuff, like rushing him to come on.
In the car there?
Mhm.
So he's getting a phone call from while he's in there?
Yeah.
On one phone or the other? Do you remember?
I don't know which one.
Okay. And so does that end y'all's little meeting?
Nah.
Okay. What
He was
happens?
still sitting in the car.
Okay.
Yeah, he was still doing the same thing with the phone.
Still putting numbers back and forth?
I mean, he just had both the phone. I wasn't looking to see what he was doing. That's what it looked like he was doing.
Okay.
He was looking at both phones.
Once got done putting numbers or whatever he was doing with both phones at the same time, what happened?
Nah, I asked him, was he straight? He said, yeah. Then called again, whoever it was, called him again. And he like, here he comes. So he got out the car. Then he got his keys. And I went in the house.
Okay, so he gets out of the car.
Mm-hmm.
Did he get in that white SUV with those other people?
Yeah.
Okay, and you go into the house.
Mhm.
And now you have a car that he's given you.
Mhm.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And you have a telephone that was his.
Yes, sir.
After you get possession of this phone, do people start trying to contact him on this phone?
Yes, sir.
All right, but you have the phone.
Yes, sir.
What happens when somebody contacts him on the phone that you have?
I'll text him and tell them that they called or text.
Okay, so if somebody calls him or texts him and you then text him or call him
Mhm.
and say, so-and-so just texted or called you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Were there ever times that somebody would call that phone and then you and your phone would call another phone and put them together so that they could talk?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you could aid in those sort of, sometimes we call it three-way or whatever, conversations between him and other people.
Yes, sir.
Among those sort of three-way conversations, did he ever talk to somebody identified as C?
The name in the phone was C Girl.
Okay. And the voice, was it a male or a woman?
The one time that I did really do sound like
Sounds like a dude. At the time, did you know who C was?
no, sir.
Do you now know that to be Cornelius?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to hear a conversation going on between Justin on one end of the line and Cornelius, since you all sort of three-way there?
Not like full conversation.
Not the full conversation. Were you able to hear some of the conversation?
Oh, just a little bit. I wasn't really just listening.
Okay. You've been asked before whether or not you heard some of the conversation, correct?
Yes,
And have you described part of the conversation having to do with money?
Yes, sir.
Having to do with getting money to C,
The text message.
the text messages? And what was it about?
It was like, he just kept saying like, "What's up, bro? What's up, bro? What's up, bro?" And stuff like that. And I was texting my brother, and I was telling him somebody texting me, and he was like, who he is and what he wants. And then when I told him, he kept saying like he loved him and stuff like that. And then he said, have you talked to Uncle?
Okay. Did you know who Uncle was at that time?
No, sir. He said, talk to him. Then he said, if you talk to him, tell him I need some money for my little girl's birthday party.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did that make any sense to you?
I really think that.
About money though?
Mhm.
The money that would be coming from Justin and Unc to this C person,
I don't think it was coming from Justin. I think it was just coming from Uncle.
coming from Unc.
He was telling him to ask Uncle.
So C was asking Justin to ask Unc where the money is. At the time, did you know who Unc was? At the time, had you ever even heard of Big Joke?
I knew he was, yeah. Yeah, I
Had you ever met him?
No,
You ever talked to him?
no, sir.
Okay, but you knew his name?
Yeah.
From the rap game and everything else?
Mhm.
Did you use that phone like that? I mean, would various people text and call, and then you tell your brother, hey, so-and-so text and call?
It was only, it was a couple people. Yeah.
Couple people? Okay. During the course of doing this, did your brother ever tell you where he was?
Talking about after he left from him.
He never told you where he
No,
was?
sir.
At some point, the police come to you, is that right?
Yes, sir.
They come to your apartment,
Yes, sir.
and they want something you got. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
They want that phone,
Yes, sir.
your brother's phone.
Yes, sir.
And did you give him that phone?
Yes, sir.
And did you agree with to go back to the station with them, and, be interviewed by the police? Did you do that?
They took me there.
They took you there, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took you there. You turned over the phone and told them about Justin giving it to you.
Yes, sir.
Now, the original reason that he gave you for this phone was so you could do postings on social media and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Did you do postings on social media for him while he was gone?
Yes, sir. It was like 2 pictures.
Which two pictures?
It was like a picture of some food, like a restaurant,
Okay,
and another one was like some shoes.
okay. So you posted two pictures for him, which would be a picture of some fancy shoes,
Jason Jordan.
some Jordans, and a picture of some food. And did he ask you to post those pictures?
Yes, sir.
Did you also follow his social media? Like, could you see the stuff he posted on social media?
Yes, sir.
Was he still posting stuff on his social media? Not just you?
like,
Like a picture of him in a Rolls Royce or a picture of him holding tens and tens of thousands of dollars?
Not like around the time I posted those pictures.
I understand.
Straight on down the line.
Further on down the line. Okay. Before he got arrested.
Yes, sir.
So that's not you posting those pictures.
No, sir.
In fact, I think they had probably already had, the police already had the phone at that point.
Yes, sir.
Pass you exhibit 57 and 56. Tell me who's in this picture, if you would. I think you've seen those before, Marcus, is that right?
Yeah.
Who's in those pictures?
Just,
Your brother Justin?
uh-huh.
I could have those exhibits returned. I'm done asking you questions, Jamarcus.
One moment. Good afternoon, Marcus.
What's going on?
If you don't mind, I'll call you Marcus since we have more than one Mr. Johnson in our class.
Sir.
All right. My name's Luke Evans. I just got maybe just one question for you, or a couple of questions for you. So you knew Justin to be an aspiring rapper,
Yes, sir.
correct? He was trying to get signed.
Yes, sir.
Had you ever, prior to that date, ran his social media or YouTube before?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that wasn't a new thing for him to ask you to do.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Nothing further, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
That's it.
Yes, sir. Step back.
We're good, Judge. I think we're good.